Welcome to the Gospel Road. I know it's been a while. Just kind of been dealing with a lot of stuff over the past few months and just trying to get things figured out. Things can be crazy. We're going to look at Romans 4 today. It says, "What then shall we say was gained by Abraham, our forefather according to the flesh? For if Abraham was justified by works, he has something to boast about, but not before God. For what does the Scripture say? Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him as righteousness. Not to the one who works, his wages are not counted as a gift, but as his due. And to the one who does not work, but believes in him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is counted and as righteousness. Just as David also speaks of the blessing of the one to whom God counts righteousness apart from works. Blessed are those whose lawless deeds are forgiven, and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man against whom the Lord will not count his sin. Is this blessing then only for the circumcised, or also for the uncircumcised? For we say that faith was counted to Abraham as righteousness. How then was it counted to him? Was it before or after he had been circumcised? It was not after, but before he was circumcised. He received the sign of circumcision as a seal of the righteousness that he had by faith while he was still uncircumcised. The purpose was to make him the father of all who believe without being circumcised, so that righteousness would be counted to them as well, and to make him the father of the circumcised, who were not merely circumcised, but also walk in the footsteps of faith that our father Abraham had before he was circumcised. For the promise to Abraham and his offspring that he would be heir of the world did not come through the law, but through the righteousness of. For if it is the adherents of the law who are to be the heirs, faith is null and the promise is void. For the law brings wrath, but where there is no law, there is no transgression. That is why it depends on faith, in order that the promise may rest on grace and be guaranteed to all his offspring, not only to the adherent of the law, but also to the one who shares the faith of Abraham, who is father of us all, as it is written, I have made you the father of many nations, in the presence of God in whom he believed, who gives life to the dead and calls into existence the things that do not exist. I hope he believed against hope, that he should become the father of many nations, as he had been told, so that shall your offspring be. He did not weaken in faith when he considered his own body, which was as good as dead, since he was about 100 years old, or when he considered the barrenness of Sarah's womb. No unbelief made him waver concerning the promise of God, but he grew strong in his faith, and he gave glory to God, fully convinced that God was able to do what he had promised. That is why his faith was counted to him as righteousness. But the words, it was counted to him, were not written for his sake alone, but for ours also. It will be counted to us who believe in him who raised from the dead Jesus our Lord, who was delivered up for our transgressions and raised for our justification. Romans 4. That's what we're looking at today. And Abraham's justified by faith. Taking that step, believing in what it is that can be done, believing what it is that you can do, what I can do. And I'll be honest, a lot of times as I go through and we have these little times, it's trying to be able to have that faith, trying to be able to make those steps forward, trying to believe in what it is that I can do, not wavering in that faith. And, that's something it's not easy. Though I'm a person who believes and I have strong beliefs, a lot of times that does not always give that faith in myself. I mean, as you read through the Bible and read through the story of Abraham and his travels and what he did, as he was going with Sarah, going into a country and saying Sarah was his sister, not his wife. I know, always dealing with a lot of different things as I try to do things. I mean, currently I'm writing another book. I've got a few that I've done. I have friends that are telling me that I need to publish those. I need to get them out there. And it's almost like me doing these podcasts over the past years, which I do and I don't. And, I stay pretty consistent a while and then I fall away for a while because, a lot of times I let life get in the way. I let things happen that will stop me from what I'm doing, stop me from getting things done like I need to. I was just having a conversation with a friend today, again, having that faith in myself. And I'll be honest, that's a conversation I have with many friends a lot of times, because we all have things in our past, but we have to do our best to not let them control our future. And I have times that I do that, and I have times that I do not let it become an obstacle or get in my way. But then I also have times that I do, and it really halts me from what I need to be doing, where I need to be going, even though I do my best. But even doing my best still isn't the best. It's kind of a crazy way of thinking about it. But I'm reading a few books right now, as I'm going through every day and being proactive. A lot of times, that's what that faith is. That your faith, when you take that step out, either being a new job or doing something that you've never done before, and having that belief in yourself to be able to step out and do that. Being, in business, and, your manager asks you, your supervisor says to do this, and maybe something you've never done before. I know for me, through the years, I have been asked to do so many things that I really had no concept of how to do it, where to go, how it needs to be done. Now, a lot of times I would look at things and I saw other people doing them. I saw how they did it. And then it was trying to take those applications and apply it to what I was asked to step forward. I mean, for me, I'm starting another job. And I know this past year for me has been rocky in many ways. Trying to figure out what it is that I need to do as I move forward. Just like we all have those issues when, computers crash and you try to get things figured out and try to figure out where it is that you need to do to get things done. I mean, I was being very consistent with getting these podcasts and things done. I'm even looked at doing videos. I did a few of them, and then I stopped. But it's having that faith. And it's not, it's not just taking those steps forward or being justified by faith, but it's being able to take that piece as I'm applying to myself, but then sharing that with others to be able to help them be what it is that they can be. I'm actually writing a book right now, and I saw all these different scriptures. It's who I am. I'm, who I am in God, who I am personally, who I am daily, who I am professionally, and what I'm doing with my job and what I'm doing with my friends and family. But it's a journey, and honestly, that's a journey that always goes on. When you read through many stories, you read through books, you look at autobiographies, and you see that these journeys that people are on, you see that here's where it started, and it never really stops because you're constantly moving. You're constantly learning. You're constantly understanding what that next step is, learning where it is that you need to go. I mean, it's not that we learn everything we need to learn in school during that. It's a constant journey. It's a constant research, gaining that knowledge. I know for me, I'm always wanting to learn more. I'm wanting to understand things better, the best that I can. And I've said it many times I know where I was 10 years ago, where I was 15 years ago, and comparing that to where I am now. And I kind of look at things in a different way. kind of take that step back and not see where things are going, not seeing where I was, but seeing where I am now. To apply that to where I'm going, to apply that when I'm having conversations with others to kind of help them as they're taking that step. You know, it's not just a journey for me. It is my own personal journey. But along with that personal journey, it's a journey that you are also sowing into others' lives, helping them, teaching them, training them, you know, being their shoulder when they need one, you know, reaching out and picking them up when they fall and not kicking them when they're down. I am looking at so many things that are happening in the world today. I know all of us are. I mean, I know for me, I'm to the point that I don't even want to watch the news anymore because I'm tired of seeing how people are doing everything they can to not get along with each other. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. I saw something the other day and it says, for real unity to exist in our world, we must love one another. It was something to that effect. And that's true. We need to be there unconditionally for each other. We need to be there to help each other through whatever that step is. When you're learning something, it's helping them and teaching others to learn that too. When you are in a management position, it's being able to help others learn and train them to be better. I don't know how many people that I've helped through the years that we've talked and we've had philosophy conversations when it comes to work and business and, you know, even those spiritual conversations, but then being able to allow those to keep moving forward to help people do what it is they need to do. And if they end up doing more than you, that's great. It's not holding you back. It's not saying that they're better than you, but you had a piece in their life to help them grow, to exceed what they have done, to be better. Again, it's being a better person, being better overall, being better personally, being better professionally, being better spiritually. One of the books I'm reading talking about being proactive and looking at those that you work with, that you deal with on a daily basis. You know, are you trying to figure out a way to work with somebody, or are you sitting there every day complaining and just not trying to better the situation that you're in? You know, you're at a job and a new manager comes in and you're not liking this new manager, and rather than trying to figure out a way that you can work together and be in harmony so you can continue doing what you can to continue being the best that you can, learning for yourself, putting out great work, it's having that argument and we'll say backbiting them with coworkers, creating dissension, and then not allowing things to get along. It was funny talking about those being proactive, a person that can sit there and take a situation and try and figure out, it's all psychology, trying to figure out how to deal with people, trying to figure out how to take that situation and what it is that you can do to make that work. I know for me, and I've said it before, you know, I was labeled to be a sponge because I'm always wanting to understand how things work. This goes back to me being a child. Getting in trouble from my dad because I took apart a record player because I wanted to see how it worked. And I will be honest, I broke it. It didn't work again. But it's that curiosity. It's understanding why things do what they do and then moving forward with that and using that so I can understand what it is that I need to be doing, so I can keep doing what it is that I do, what I can do to better myself, what I can do to make that next step so I can be all that I can be, to use a slogan from the Army that I remember growing up. You'd always see it in the commercials. You know, be all that you can be in the Army. Am I being? I use that for me. Am I being all that I can be every day? You know, being proactive, being there to learn, being there to figure out a way to make things come together so you can keep moving forward so it's better for all. A lot of times it can create dissension when you are dealing with a lot of reactive. We're in a reactive world, a reactive society, that people are not out there trying to take that step ahead. But actually sitting there watching how things are and then reacting to them. By doing that, by being proactive, you can be labeled in many different things. That, being a brown noser, or, just trying to kiss up to the boss, or whatever that label's going to be that they're going to place on you, or, you are their favorite because you're trying to do what needs to be done. And it's not always easy. And I have friends that are in corporate America right now, and it almost feels like they get a new manager every week because they're always adjusting the department. They're always doing this. So this week, so-and-so is your manager, but next week, well, we're going to move them to something different. So they're going to be over a different department, and now you've got a different manager. Oh, by the way, that manager doesn't even live here. They are on the other side of the country. They're in California. They're on the East Coast. They're anywhere but here. It's not someone you can actually see or work with on a daily basis, face to face. How can you take that and still be the best that you can be, to turn that into something that you're able to grow professionally, where you're able to still have that motivation, that knowledge to be able to keep moving forward to better yourself? So we're almost in a world that you don't get that daily encouragement to keep moving because people are so busy. They've shrank the workforce, so they're doing more with less. So everyone's wearing multiple hats. They're doing so many different things. They can't have those conversations. I know even with me being in radio over the years, being able to do different things, having those daily conversations, having those weekly meetings to learn, to understand, to see how to do things, to make things work. We're not always getting those anymore. I didn't get those for years. I then had to take it upon myself to learn, take it upon myself to grow. In fact, a lot of times you're dealing with things and there's certain departments that they're going to put the investment, but they're not investing in everyone. Like for me, working in radio, they'll put all this money into a morning show, investing. They have consultants, someone that's working with them every day, but then you have all the other shifts, and they're not getting that support. They're not getting those details of what needs to be done, of how we can grow, how you can grow. Who is it that you are when you are opening that mic, when you're out there performing? You are, being that motivational speaker. You're getting out there in front of people, helping them, being that manager to find out your strengths, your weaknesses as managers, to make those stronger so you're able to help those in your department, those that you work with. Even if you're not a manager, just being a coworker, being able to kind of help everyone meld together, work together, not creating that dissension, creating that separation, but bringing that department together, bringing that company together. It's all based on that faith that we have in ourselves, that faith that I have in me. And I know I don't have a lot. It's all part of the journey. When I started doing this podcast 10 years ago or so, I've always said it's a journey, and we're kind of taking this journey together, taking it step by step to figure out where it is to go, the issues that I deal with. And I've gotten a lot of feedback of people enjoying. But remember, as I'm doing this is a journey I'm sharing. But at the same time, it's that personal journey that we all are having on our own, and finding those pieces to really sew into that, to be able to keep our minds level. I was talking to a friend today, not having a great day, and they're saying, how do I deal with this? I'm just in such a depressive mood. And I go, I understand. And a lot of that is I had to take that time to understand I need to feed me. Well, look at the Bible. Even Jesus had to take a break. He had to go and he had to pray. He had to take that time for himself. I need to take that time for myself, to feed into myself, to make myself better, to take care of me. I go on runs. I read books. I do whatever it is that I can to kind of escape, to try and recharge the best I can. And a lot of times that's not always easy to do, to find that place that I can recharge. But Sometimes we have to take what we have and do the best we can with that and figure out how we can turn what it is to help us. So we're able to work on that faith, work on the belief in ourselves, work on our own self-image to go, I believe in what I can do. I know that I have the knowledge to get this done, and being able to do that. As I always say, when I share these with you, to always read it yourself, because just because what I'm looking at and what I see, we're all in different areas of life. We're all in different levels, plateaus, growth spurts as we're moving forward. Read it. Take it to yourself. Normally I will read like the ESV. I'm actually kind of going through things right now, the NIV, UK. But there's many different translations that you can look, but get in there. Read this for yourself, but read it with an open mind. Don't read it closed mind. Like I did when I first started reading the Bible. That's what I did. I'd go, I'm reading this and I already know what's going on. And it wasn't working the way it should. It wasn't doing what it should be doing for me because I was actually having problems. It was frustrating me. And I had to learn that I had to look at things differently. I had to read this like I didn't know what was going on. And I've learned so many different things by doing that, and learning how to treat and be there for one another, and even learning how to sow into myself to be better, to be a better person, for my friends, for my job. It all works together. Your personal relationship, your professional relationship, and your spiritual relationship. It's taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. They really do feed in one another, and it's getting them to work together harmoniously. Is that a word? I'm trying to use a big one, and I probably shouldn't, but it's just getting them to work together. Being them to really help one another. When you have one that's kind of failing, you have another to come in and lift it up, to really get that synergy working of all of them together. Romans 4, read that. See what it speaks to you today. And hopefully one of these days I'll get my book out there. And you can always find me on Facebook, Twitter. Just look for My Buddy Jimmy. That's where you can find a lot of my stuff. I'm even trying to get some things put together and edited and start getting some daily posts and different things put together too. But whatever it is, just look at what you can do for you. Because by building yourself up, by building me up, by working on me, I can help others to help them be better, be strong, and to take that step for them so they can be all they can, as I'm trying to be the best. Romans chapter 4, read that today. Thank you for listening to The Gospel Road. Have a great day. God bless.